Hey everybody, Norman here, also known as His Nibs, and have quite a special pen introduction for you today. It's the first new Asvine pen of 2025, and it has a lot of firsts for Asvine. This is the pen, and it's the C2000. A large pen, and we'll do some dimensions a bit later in the video, but this is a new material for Asvine. It's stabilized wood, which is a wood that has an acrylic polymer dissolved into a solvent, and then the mixture is forced into the wood through a mix of vacuum and pressure cycles. I've never had a pen that used stabilized wood before, so I was unfamiliar with the process until I received this about a month ago. I've been writing with it for about a month. Just released in the last day or two for the new year. Very large pen. The clip is quite different. It's that Mont Blanc Hemingway style clip that you've seen on a couple of Chinese models, but it's a bit elongated for this particular model because this is a very large and long pen. So you can see the Asvine logo very prominently displayed on this. On the front and on the reverse you have C2000. Now, those of you very familiar with Asvine pens know that all of their early models were started either with a P for piston or V for vacuum or vac filler. And I'll let you guess as to what the C stands for. I think you can figure it out pretty quickly. That's another new feature for Asvine with this pen. All right, I'll tell you what it is. It is their first cartridge converter pen. So we'll get into more detail about that soon. This comes in 3 colors, but every pen is unique because of the wood. This is the red, which you might have guessed. There's a light green and a green. And if you take a look in the description below with my link to the pen on Amazon.com, you'll see plenty of photographs and pictures of all 3 versions of the pen. Second, this is Asvine's first number 8 size nib. Gorgeous, gorgeous nib. And with a very large feed as well. Plastic feed, flows wonderfully. I love the shape of this feed. And what is also unique, and I had a little bit to do with, is this is Asvine's first stub nib. It comes in, your choices are X-Fine, Fine, Medium, or this new 1.1 stub. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, if you've followed the channel at all, I've been a colleague of and a friend of Britnam Lee, who is the principle behind Asvine pens for about 20 years. When I was actively importing from China over the last 25 years, he and I connected early on, and he eventually became my main supplier of Chinese pens. Jinhao's, Duke's, many different brands. And when he started Asvine pens a couple of years ago, I needled him from the beginning that he had to come out with a stub nib. And we've worked on that back and forth for a while now. He sent me several prototype stub nibs. This one I put in a Jinhao 9016, and another prototype stub he sent already affixed to a Jinhao pen. And so I wrote with these for several months, gave him my feedback, and about a month ago he was kind enough to send me the new model with a beautifully engraved stub nib, which I've been using with great pleasure over the last month or so. Very unique pen for Asvine. Design-wise, something that also spoke to me immediately is the combination of a flat top cap and a torpedo shape barrel. You don't see that combination very often. If I can't even bring one to mind that's done it quite like this. I'm sure those of you watching the video, if you want to leave a comment of other pen models that have a similar design, please do so. Normally you would see flat top, both cap top and end of the barrel, or torpedo shape on both ends. So that's quite unique. The cap is plastic threads and the barrel is metal threads. That's always a concern for some people. I've never had a problem with those two materials mating. If you unscrew the barrel, that is metal on metal. And there's a protective silicone O-ring at this point, which helps to provide a soft landing, as we might say, as you screw the barrel and section together again. My only difficulty with this pen, and Britnum and I have talked about it, is the section I find, because it's self-same stabilized wood as the barrel and the cap, is a bit slick for me. What I hope he will do in the future is perhaps score little, maybe little micro lines on the section to provide more purchase. But that's the only thing that is I can find as a criticism, if that, for the design. So I find myself, for security purposes, holding up a bit further on the section and actually getting my fingers on the threads or a little bit on the step up to the barrel, just for added security. That may be my experience, my hand. It's Nothing that is a game changer, just a mention of that. The other thing that we've talked about possibly making a change to the pen in the future is it's such a long pen and the clip is relatively short. So I find very secure, however, not too tight. I find this does not fit well in most of my shirt pockets because of the length of the pen and the length of the clip. It's not actually a short clip, it just looks like a short clip because of the size of this pen. So he's a little concerned about the brass making it too much longer for stability and strength. But, you know, even a millimeter or two would be helpful. So we'll see what happens in the future with that. Otherwise, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous pen. The stub is terrific, and I'm so happy that that's finally come to light. And we will, as another YouTuber says, spin the camera around to the desk and look at a few more features. So, see you momentarily. Okay, let's take a little look at some things I wrote previously in this notebook about the pen, the Asvine C2000 with 1.1 millimeter stub. I should just mention that it looks like pricing is going to be less than $40 on the sites I've looked at, which is a great bargain for a pen like this. I mentioned previously the length of the clip, and it's really not short. Here's a Moonman pen that came out, I think, last year, and the number escapes me, and they don't put it on the cap, which is not helpful, or anywhere else on the pen. Anyway, I'll link to it in the comments below. But you can see that the similarly shaped clip on the C2000 is quite a bit longer. So this is not a short clip, just a slightly short clip for the length of this pen. And for a size comparison, this is the Jinhao 9019, which is a rather long, oversized pen. And see if I can fit it in this shot. And you can see the size of the C2000 in comparison. Not only length, but largely the girth. Let's see, section to section. And the girth of the Jinhao 9019 is a bit girthier. But here, leveling up the bottoms of the pen, you can also see the length difference. And the 9019 also has a number 8 size nib. It's fitted down a little bit further in the section than the Asvine. So that's why the Asvine nib looks so much bigger. But it's really the positioning, I think, within the section that is creating that differential. So we talked about the stabilized wood, which is an acrylic polymer. It's dissolved into a solvent and then forced into the wood through a mix of vacuum and pressure cycles. I mentioned the design with a flat top cap, but a rounded barrel end. Comes in green, light green, and this is the red, which is red and black and some blue. A mixture. And each pen will be unique because of that. So some quick measurements I took earlier. Capped 155 millimeters. About 140 uncapped. These are rounded figures. They're not totally exact. The section is about 13 millimeters across. The barrel 15.6. The cap, which as you can see is a little wider than the barrel, comes in at about 17 millimeters in width and about 70 millimeters for the length of the cap. Also, as I mentioned, I find this section is a bit slippery or slick, and the cap threads and barrel step-up are noticeable, but not uncomfortable. So here we go with some comparisons. So, vertical lines and horizontal lines in each case for the C2000. The first test nib that Britnum sent me, first stub, and the second test nib, also from Britnum. And just as a comparison, because I had it on my desk, was a stub-nibbed Waterman Edson. And if you're not familiar with the Edson, no longer made, but a really wonderful pen also. And this has an inlaid nib. So keep the focus. So that's the Waterman Edson stub that I used for comparison. And I don't have a macro lens on at the moment, but let's see if we can get a closer up look of this Asvine C2000 nib with the 1.1 stub marking there. Kind of reminiscent of a Parker arrow clip almost in the look of the nib. And you'll see some of that brown ink. Well, now, what am I using in this? Let me think for a second. Levenger Cocoa. That's the ink that's currently in the pen. And here we have, let me find an appropriate pointer. We have lines with no pressure, and here a bit of pressure. So you can see quite a bit of line variation in this stub. Very long pen with short Hemingway style clip. Makes it a bit difficult to carry in a typical shirt pocket. Just reiterating here what I've already mentioned in the first scene. Large number 8 steel nib with large and generous plastic feed. Metal threads on barrel, plastic threads on the cap. Metal on metal threads between the section and barrel with a silicone O-ring between the two. And cartridge converter, hence the C in the name or designation C2000. So I want to get this video out as soon as possible. I don't think there's much more that I haven't covered. Again, links will be in the description below to additional photographs of the three, in parentheses, colors, because they're each unique and mixture of color, actually. And please, again, I'd love to hear any comments that you might have on this first Asvine pen, and perhaps first Chinese pen of 2025. And hope you all have a wonderful new year. And we'll be looking forward to lots of new pen models, I'm sure, coming out of China from Asvine and Hongdian and Jinhao and the whole panoply of Chinese manufacturers that in the last couple of years have really started to create terrific and inspiring models. And this is certainly one, and so grateful to Britain for following through with creating this great 1.1 millimeter stub nib. And while we're here, I might as well do a quick weighing of the pen. Now this is recently filled, so it's the converter is full of ink. So weighs in at exactly 40 grams. And the cap at 12.5, and the pen itself 27.5, and again that's full of ink. I just confirm that. Yeah, the converter is as full as a converter could be. One more look at this gorgeous Asvine in the hand. Oh, it does cap. I mean, it does post, but my God, that's, really kind of ridiculous. And it doesn't back weight it that much, so if you really insist on posting a cap when you write, it can be done, and can be done comfortably. But it is certainly plenty long enough unposted, which always is my preference for anything but a pocket pen. Anyway. So, I hope you enjoyed the first look at the new Asvine C2000, and Happy New Year to everybody, by the way, and love to see your comments below, without yet having pen in hand, what you think of this design and all the firsts that Asvine has made with this pen. The stabilized wood, the clip design, the first time for the number 8 nib, a stub nib, which is what excites me the most. Most of my favorite pens are stubs. I love the shading that they provide to my handwriting. And the first cartridge converter for Asvine. So if you enjoyed the video or enjoyed the pen, please like, and most important, share this video with as many pen friends as possible. Let's get the word out on this new model. I mean, Asvine has A little play on their name. Asvine has been kicking ass in the fountain pen world for the last couple years. Just so many positive reviews from reviewers about their various models. And this is going to be the newest winner. And I'd like to know what you think, what your first impression is. And again, in the description below, I have links. You can see more photographs if you're interested in purchasing the pen in one of its nib sizes, extra fine, fine, medium, or stub, or get all four. Please make any comments below as well. And Happy New Year. And I hope you're as excited about this as I am. And you will be once you write with it. So thanks much for listening, and see you soon.